Hey guys, welcome back. So in this video we're going to look at how time zones work, or how to use time zones in the new Java API. But the first thing we're going to do is just to get a brief overview of how time zones actually work. This is a pretty confusing topic, and it can become a really annoying source of bugs when you're writing production quality code. So the first thing we need to notice is that time zone 0 is called basically UTC. So that's right here. And this is kind of like where every other time zone is, this is like where every other time zone is displayed relative to this one. So if, for example, we're at 12 p.m. UTC, then we go all the way over here to Los Angeles. Now we're at -8 hours. So what that means is we take the UTC time and we subtract 8. So we're going to get 4 a.m. over here. So we're going to be at 4 a.m. Los Angeles time when we're at 12 p.m. UTC time. So, and similarly, if we go 1 hour forward over here, we just have to add 1 to our UTC time. And so nowadays what we do is we just count the number of seconds or milliseconds since 1970 whenever we're measuring the time on a computer. Okay, so now let's go back to our code. Let's say that we have our current setup right here where we're creating a date and we're creating a time. So the date is May 20th, 2015, and the time is 5:10, I think it's a.m., yeah, 5:10 a.m. So now let's say that we wanted to attach a time zone to this. If we wanted to do that, we would do it like this. We would create a zoned date time, and we would say, and let's say that this time zone, we want it to be in terms of Los Angeles. So we want it to be May 20th, 5:10 a.m. in Los Angeles. So if we do this, right, we do Los Angeles is equal to zone date time dot of, okay, so now we're going to provide our date time object, right? So we want to specify that it's May 20th, 5:10, right? So we're going to provide that. And now we need to specify what zone we're in. In this case, we want to do Los Angeles time, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do zone ID dot of, okay, and now we can just specify America / Los Angeles. I think that should work. I might be a little off on my time zone right there. Okay, so let's see here. So it wants a local date instead of a local date time. Alright, so maybe if we did it like this. I see. Date time. There we go. So now, let's try this out before we go any further. Let's print it out. And, okay, yes, I think I'm just going to do it like this. Zone ID dot, let's see here. Now we want to do it from short IDs. Okay, let's do one thing real quick before we do any of this, because I don't remember what that should look like. What we're going to do, and this is a good way, generally, like, it's a bad idea to memorize what everything is going to look like, but we can print it out really easily using this getAvailableZoneIDs method. So this is going to return a set of string zone IDs is equal to that, right? And now using our newfound stream knowledge, right, we can just open up a stream, then use for each, and now we're just going to get, let's see here, zone ID, and we're just going to system.out.println zone ID, and we need a brace or a parentheses right there, and we should be good. Now let's comment this guy out, run, and okay, here we go. Now we have all of our zone IDs, and we can pick and choose. So we want Los Angeles, right? So let's just Control F, and doesn't seem to have Los Angeles. Let's see here. So how does this work? Let's sort these in. Oh, there it was, right here. Okay, so instead of a space, we need to actually put an underscore. But just for some practice, let's sort these in alphabetical order. So remember how we do that. What we do is we format this before we do that, though. Okay, alright, so we're going to open up our stream. I'll leave the stream up there, and now what we're going to do is we're going to use the sorted, right? And let's see here, because we're working with the string class already implements the comparable interface, so we don't need to do any of our own custom comparator stuff, we can just do dot sorted, and now let's run, and there we go, nice and sorted. All right, so now, just as another further example, let's restrict it so we only have, or let's group all these guys so that we have it sorted by like maybe country. So there's America over here, for example, and I guess Africa isn't a country, but let's just say general regions. So Asia. So now what we can do is we can do dot. Let's see here. We want to collect everything instead of using a for each loop right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do dot collect, and now we're going to use collectors dot grouping by, and now what we're going to do is, okay, this is going to be a little tricky because we have one string object, so we need to basically map each of these items into into some kind of object where, you know, it's separated by region and then name right there. So let's just create a class, a very simple class. Let's see here. We can call it time zone map, or no, we'll just call it time zone, right? And so what it's going to have is it's just going to be private public string, and let's call the first item region, and let's call the second item, let's see here, specific area. And what we're going to do is we're going to, when we construct a time zone, what we're going to do is we're just going to pass in one of these strings right here. So let's see here, in this case this is a string, and we'll call it non-formatted time zone, like that. And okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to say that region is equal to non-formatted time zone, and we're going to split the string. So what splitting does is it returns an array of, so basically you take this item right here, so we want to split by this slash mark right here, and what we're going to get is we're going to get an array that contains two elements. The first element is going to contain this, and it's going to contain Asia in this case, and then the second element is going to contain Brunei. And we're not going to include the slash because that's what we're splitting by. So we're going to split by that, and then we're just going to get the first item, and then we're going to say that the specific area is equal to non-formatted split, and then I forgot my quote, and then we're just going to say that it's at the first index. Alright, so now what we need to do is we're going to, let's not sort it anymore because we don't need to sort it quite yet. What we're going to do is we're going to map each, let's see here, we're going to map each time zone, TZ, and we're going to map it to this time zone object that we have right here. New time zone, and we're just going to pass in TZ. And now that we have that, let's create a map. And let's see here, we're going to have a map of strings that maps to time zone, TZ map. And okay, so final step, we need to group by, right? So in this case, what we're going to group by is we're going to group by, let's see here, this is going to take in a lambda expression, right? We're going to have a non-formatted TZ, that's what we're going to have formatted TZ, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this formatted TZ and we're going to group by region, and okay, so I forgot one crucial step right here. We're actually going to have a list of time zones inside of, I hate when it imports on by default. We want to import the java.util list, like that. And there we go. So remember, when we have something like this, our map is going to consist of a string, and then we're going to be clustering it based on this time zone, based on this region, and we're going to be storing these clusters inside of these lists. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do tzmap dot, let's see, we're going to open up a stream. Can we open up a stream? tzmap dot, okay, so we need to open up an entry set first, right? And then we're going to do stream. So let me just do it like this right now. But we need to open up an entry set because hash maps, it doesn't really make too much sense to just iterate over them by default. But what this entry set method does is it makes it so you can kind of like iterate over every single item inside of this hash map as though it were maybe like an array list or something. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to sort it, and then let's for each of these guys we're going to have a time zone object, right? And then what we're going to do is let's just print time zone dot region for now. Okay, let's see here. Did I dot region? Okay, right. We have a list of items. We don't have a single time zone, so it's like this time zone list. Okay, so this means that we need to use braces inside of our lambda expression because we're going to iterate, or no, even better. What we can do is we can open up another string inside of here. So let's do time zone list dot. So we're going to get the value. Once we get the value, that's going to give us this list of items. We're going to open up the stream, and let me format it so it looks nice. And then we're just going to do for each. And okay, so we're not going to sort it over here. We're going to sort it here now. Sorted. And now we're going to have a single time zone. And what we're going to do with this time zone is let's just print out time zone dot specific area, and let's print out time zone list dot get key dot yeah, we're just going to print out the key. So remember, each key is going to be this guy right here, so like Asia, for example. And let's run. That didn't quite work. So where are we getting our null pointer or out of bounds? Okay, so I guess it's saying that in some cases we might have array out of bound exceptions because we might not have a slash, for example. Don't quite remember why that would happen or know why that would happen from the list of inputs we had before. So actually, let's debug this a little bit. So notice what we're doing. I mean, like this lecture, it's supposed to be about time zones, but you know, this is a good opportunity to go over everything else we've been learning in this course so far, namely streams and how to work with strings and immutable and non-immutable objects and so on and so forth. So notice that, you know, even something so unrelated as, you know, time zones can be related to everything else that you might have learned before. So this is why it's a good idea to just get a wide variety of knowledge about Java topics. Okay, so in this case, I think, let's see here, we want to go into this. So Asia got set correctly, and now if we step over, we see that the specific area Aiden got set correctly. So now let's just end this debugging session right now, and let's just print out the let's just print out the input parameter we're getting, non-formatted, and then this will tell us, if we run it, that, okay, so here's the faulty item. When we get to this GMT item, we don't have a slash anymore, and so that's why we're getting an array bound exception. Okay, so to fix this, it's pretty simple. We won't use anything fancy like a try-catch statement. There's a more efficient way to do that, and that is to do this. Items is equal to, we're just going to split it like this, and let's just assume that every item has at least one element. So we're not going to put any kind of checking code inside of here, but then we'll say that if items.length is greater than 1, so if it has 2 items, then we're just going to do items.long. Okay, and now let's run again, and man, so now what's happening? So now we're getting a compile, we're getting an issue here, because, let's see here, so what does the error say? time zone cannot be cast to comparable. Okay, so we need to actually provide our own comparator interface. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do time zone dot, or maybe is it called sorted? Let's check real quickly. Yeah, okay, it's called sorted. So we could do it like this. We comparator, just to remind ourselves of the syntax, but let's just use a lambda expression. And so we're going to be provided with a time zone. I guess we're going to be provided with two inputs. We're going to be provided with A and B, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to do A dot region dot compare to B dot region, and let's close that off right there. Now that should work fine. Okay, so now we've got lots of input. Okay, we need to make this a little more clear by perhaps doing this println. So after every region, we're going to put a bunch of dashes, and okay, here we go. So now, let's see here. So this is the US region right here. Is there an America region that we were? Yeah, so America. And now we have all of the items for America. This wasn't that great of a way to visualize the data, actually. So let's just comment this out, and let's just, here's what we'll do. We're just going to print out tzmap, and we're going to override the toString method inside of our time zone class. Add override public string toString, and now we're just going to return the specific area. And we'll run it, and okay. So this is slightly better. And now let's just search for the key we want. We'll search for America, and okay, so now these are all the time zones corresponding to America. So now let's find the one we actually want. There's Los Angeles. So we'll find Los Angeles, and we'll get rid of this guy for now. So now let's go back to this original problem, right? So if we wanted to do this, we would just do it like that. Let's import our guys, and now let's run. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like when we print out the this time. We see that it's June 1st, 2015, and that's because we're adding 12 days over here, even though our month starts at even though our date starts on May 20th. And now the hour is 4:10 because we're subtracting one. Okay, so that's fine. And this is with respect to LA. Fair enough. Now what happens if we were to view this time that we provide in maybe like Berlin or something? Well, in that case, let's go back to our map. So we're over here, and then Germany is way over here, so it's +1 UTC, right? So if we're 4:10 p.m. here, then we would need to add 8 hours. So that's gonna put us to if we're 4:10, are we AM or PM? Yeah, 4:10 AM. So we're 4:10 AM. We add 8 hours. That's gonna push us to 12:10 PM. Then we add 1 more hour, and that's going to give us to Germany. Now we have to be careful because the US follows daylight savings times, so we're actually going to be -7 in this case. That's why we have over here -7 instead of -8, just because of the weird issues with daylight savings times. But anyways, what we can do is now we can do, for example, .2 epoch second. So this is going to give us the number of milliseconds since the 1970 date we were talking about before. Long millis is equal to that, or sorry, long seconds from epoch. And now let's initialize another zone date time. such that maybe Berlin time is equal to zone date time dot of, and now what we're going to do is we're going to construct a local date time is equal to dot of, and okay, so we're just going to put in the seconds from the epoch. We're going to say 0 nanoseconds, and now this third parameter, it specifies any zone offsets. So in this case, let's just read the documentation here. The zone offset, so let's see here. Okay, let's not use this one actually. Let's try to make sure we use dot of, and in this case let's just do this one actually. Okay, so now we need to construct a local date and we need to construct a local time. So this might get a little unwieldy. And we're going to do local date dot of, and okay, so what can we do here? Maybe that's not the best idea either. So here's what we'll do. We're going to do local date time dot of, and we're going to provide an instant. So an instant, you can think about it as taking in these Unix milliseconds, and they're just an easy way of working with them. So we're going to pass in our seconds. So we're going to pass in seconds from epoch, and now we're going to specify the zone that we care about. And okay, do we still have the Berlin? So let's, where was it? We printed out our TZ map up here. So let's uncomment that, and let's run this guy again. Okay, I'm getting a compiler error here. Let's run it, and okay. So we want, let's see here. Here's the, whatever. So this is Europe right here, right? And let's just work with, I don't know. Is Rome in the same time zone? Let's check real quickly. So I think, yeah, Rome will work. Rome will work. So now, oops, we go Rome, copy that, and now uncomment this guy, and this guy, and this guy, and we're going to specify Europe / Rome, and now we close that off. Okay, so now we have our local date time. We don't even need to worry about the zone date time for now. And now we can just do local date time, print this out, and okay, let me comment this guy out. Local date time. So what we've done is, in essence, original time. Let's print out our original time too, actually, so we have a good idea. So out, println, and actually we want it up here. Println original Los Angeles. Alright, let's run. Okay, so now we see that we have 4:10 a.m. minus 7 hours UTC, right? And now this is our time in, this is the same time, but in this time zone over here in Germany or Rome, right? And it's, what would that be? That would be 1:10, right? So does that fit? Yeah, it does, because what we're doing is we're going to first add 7 hours to get to UTC 0. That's going to put us at 11:10, and then we just add another hour. We get to that time right there. All right. So that was a pretty thorough introduction into time zones. We went off on a little tangent when we were working with streams, but yeah. So we worked with streams. We learned how to format some items right here. In the next video, we're going to look into formatting in a little more detail. All right. I'll see you guys then.